Alright, so how do we access personality? How is it that we can measure a personality trait, whether it be easygoing, laid back, to high maintenance, to type A, type B personality? Now, how is it that we could take things that make you who you are as a person and the way you think and put it into data? And that could be a tricky thing. So, we have what's called psychological tests. You probably have seen these online, Facebook. They're not authentic or scientific. The ones that you find online, they may not be reliable and they may not be valid. Okay, reliable is coming to the same conclusions or consistent conclusions time and time again. Okay, valid is whether or not it really truly measures what it's supposed to measure. Let's say you have a clock that is always 10 minutes behind. Is it reliable? Yes, because it's always 10 minutes behind. Is it valid? Does it really measure what? No, it's not valid because it's 10 minutes off. It's not valid. And so when you talk about personality assessments and psychometrics, you have to really consider, does it really measure what it's supposed to measure and whether or not it's reliable. Okay, let me move down here a little bit. One way self-report measures, asking questions, maybe a survey, maybe a Rorschach Inkblot test where you look at an image and it's very, ambiguous what it could mean, and so you apply meaning to an image that has no meaning to it. Like I was saying earlier, human beings are very good at applying meaning to things that are meaningless all the time. You have the MMPI, which is widely used up, in the United States. It can identify psychological problems and difficulties, but you might have problems with measuring variability or a variety of different types of behaviors. You got to make sure that the tests are standardized in the way that people take it. There's no difference. So you want to make sure there's no confounding variables involved. And so the standardization process helps with that. Projective tests. One was the Rorschach Inkblot test that I was just telling you about. And what it is someone just drops some little ink, folds the paper in half, and produces an image. And an image means nothing. There is no there's no meaning behind it. But the idea is by applying meaning to something that's meaningless, you might be able to measure how the person sees the world or responds to the world or their personality. And then there's the thematic test, in which you have, see, here's an ink block. It has no meaning. No one drew this on purpose. It's just an ink blot. But when you look at this, you tell a small story. Like I see a woman who is wearing some glasses here in the nose and the mouth, and maybe she has a big old headdress around her, something like that. Now I was about ready to do this thematic apperception test. Basically, it's just a picture. It's ambiguous. You don't know what's really going on. But when you look at the picture, you apply, tell a story about what's going on in that picture. And by doing that, you will have, either the researcher or the therapist can have a better understanding about what is going on there. Then there's behavioral assessments where people observe you, naturalistic setting. They go out and just observe you. All right, it's kind of like Super Nanny. If you guys ever seen this, on the first day, she just goes down there. She goes in the home and she writes down what she sees. Little Johnny just ran across the road. Little Johnny is doing this, and she's not describing why or reasoning behind it, but just describing things as it is. And so a behavioral assessment is a way to describe personality, although it's difficult to get into the thoughts of the individual just by a behavioral assessment alone. Okay, now we're moving on to intelligence. Of all the things we learn in psychology, intelligence is the most difficult to really define. because intelligence can mean so many different things. I mean, I could be book smart. I could do well on these tests. I could do well in psychology. Does that mean I am as intelligent or more intelligent than anybody else who doesn't know this stuff? You see? No. So intelligence can mean many, many, many different things to many different people, and it's hard to pinpoint what intelligence is. First, in order to assess intelligence, we have what's called the G, or the G factor, and that is data of taking like an IQ test, and that gives you a general intelligence factor. We'll get into more of that here in a little bit. Fluid intelligence, again, younger people have a better fluid intelligence in comparison to older people. Basically, it's processing speed, reasoning speed, memory, processing capabilities, and all those good things. Now, as we age, this kind of goes down, but we acquire what's called crystallized intelligence as we get older. And this is crystallized intelligence. I'm older, and so make sure I'm on the right one. Okay. Which means I have acquired more knowledge simply through living. And as life has gone on, I've acquired more information and problem solving. This is why Grandma is fantastic at crosswords. She knows all the answers. How does she know all the answers? Well, she's just been around for a while, and she's heard these things. There's multiple intelligences. And right here we have Gardner, who came up with many different musical. Some people are great at music. Alright. Body, some athletes. Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback playing right now. He has great body kinesthetic intelligence. We have logical, mathematical, linguistic, speaking, spatial, judging how far something is, interpersonal, intrapersonal, being able to understand yourself and to be able to relate to others, and naturalist. And an information processing approach, basically gauging our memory and understanding of things by getting information out from them. Practical intelligence, like street smarts. You just know, not to be dumb or not to fall for things. Being able to function day to day. Alright, emotional intelligence, be able to read other people's faces, their emotions, understand empathy, to understand your own emotions, and to be able to evaluate your own emotions and what you're feeling. Intelligence tests, there is the first one developed by Alfred Binet, who worked in France, and he worked with, he wanted to help French children in education, and he thought through intelligence tests we can actually have a better understanding of where they were. And basically what it was is you have the person's chronological age, so for me it's 46. Okay. You take the IQ test to come up with the mental age. Alright. I say my mental age is, 46. Alright, so you put 46 over 46, mental age over chronological age, times 100, and that'll give you an IQ score. 46 over 46 equals 1. 1 times 100 equals 100. So if I have a mental age of 46, a chronological age of 46, times 100 will give me an IQ score of 100. Alright? So having a higher mental age in comparison to chronological age makes you, you have a higher IQ. And if you have a lower one, then you have a lower IQ. And here we go. I was just telling you about this. MA divided by CA, multiply that by 100, and that'll give you an IQ score. Average IQ score in the United States is 100 with a standard deviation of 15. And so anything above 2 standard deviations is normally outside the norms. And so for, outside 130 is considered outside the normal population. You're special. Anything below 75, I believe, is considered developmentally disabled, MR. Again, these are the types of IQ tests available right now in Stanford Binet. This has been around for ages. The thing about IQ tests is that it's barely changed in over 100 years. You know, it's hard to really think of anything else in science, that hasn't changed in 100 years. IQ tests basically have not changed in 100 years. You're still using the same way, same things the same way. So, really, does it measure really what we want it to measure? The Wechsler for children and adults is very popular. You're putting images, blocks together to form an image. It's actually quite interesting how those work. Again, I was telling you intellectual disabilities. Again, you know, these are IQ scores. So from right here, I said it was 75, but it looks like it's 69. 69 to 55 is mild intellectual retardation. 40 to 54 moderate, and then below 25 is profound. So basically, when you talk about someone who suffers from profound retardation, we're talking about a child trapped in an adult's body. Is basically what it is. A 40-year-old man who intellectually is a 2-year-old. That is profound retardation. Okay, or even younger. Maybe they're stuck as an infant, as a 6-month-old, and they have to be fed and change diapers as if they're still 6 months old. You know, profound. There's variations in intelligence. Most of the time, you get your intelligence from your mom and dad, and then from there, you could go up a little bit. Alright, or you could go down a lot. And so, you know, by going up a little bit, you challenge yourself in academics and other things that can increase your intelligence. Or if you go all the way down, you will like brain damage or drugs or anything like that. Intellectually gifted, 130 and above, 2 to 4% of the population. And there's a great debate about whether or not these IQ tests are culturally fair. You know, if you go down to the Amazon jungle, give this IQ test to them, they're going to fail it. Now, does this say that they're not intelligent? No, it's not a reliable test for them. So again, there's great debate about whether or not these tests are fair, and whether or not they should be actually used in different types of cultures. These are made for white, middle to high socioeconomic status. Alright, I'm done with this one.